will be having a U-turn. We will not be having normal teaching hereafter. It will take a new direction. For this webinar will be very useful to us. I once again thank the all organizers of this webinar, and I also thank the Honorable Vice Chancellor of Bordiyar University and the team of professors from Bordiyar University for helping to organize such seminar. I thank every one of them. And today's webinar session given by Professor Dr. T. Devi Madam, Professor and Head Department of Computer Applications, Bordiyar University, Coimbatore, and Dr. A. Somu Sir, Principal, Sri Saraswati Tyagarajar College, Pollachi. I thank both of them for their valuable time and effort to bring this webinar, a very useful one for us. I thank every one of them on behalf of all the teaching community and all the colleges to come this webinar, a wonderful event. Thank you, Onandal. Thank you, sir. Thank you for the organizer. Thank you for the opportunity given to me. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I would request our association secretary to say a few words.
Good morning, everybody. And our webinar sessions are getting overwhelming response from our faculty groups, and it is growing. The strength is growing every day, and our principals are giving excellent speeches, which is very useful. And I think in the days to come, and we will have more and more participants in the row. And furthermore, we were discussing in our association also that we can have a weekly webinar after this COVID. We thought that we can have a weekly webinar for our all faculties like this, bringing in a lot of our own faculty people who are very good at subjects and other things. So a lot of discussions are going on. As our PhD secretary, Dr. Kannayan, has told, the total direction of the education is going to get changed. Definitely, we will equip ourselves. ASFASM will be with you, with all the colleges to face the challenges. Thank you. And I would request the president to take further. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I would request Dr. K. Chinnaraj, the Secretary of Kovai Kalamal College of Arts and Science, to say a few words.
Thank you very much, Ajit. And I join with our Secretary once again to welcome Dr. Somu and Dr. Devi ma'am for this program. And one thing I would like to make it, place it on record, that when this online webinars are started, everybody was having their own doubt whether it will be very successful. But I was so surprised to see the number of participants participating in each and every program. It's a very overwhelming one. And another very important, significant thing which has happened in the light of the COVID-19 is every college started organizing programs, webinars, and every faculty members are adapting themselves in offering online programs and all that. So we should appreciate the quickness of the adaptability of our people for any type of situations. And we should personally thank Devi Madam for organizing one more program. And now she is coming with a mega program for FDP. And we should also participate in all these programs. And our association is really rocking, I should tell you. The way in which they organize programs, seminars, topics, and the resource persons they invite, this is a model. Bordiyar University is always a model, and our association is also a model because throughout the state I follow what type of activities other universities and associations are doing. And ours, there is no comparison. I must thank and appreciate our office bearers of our association. And followed by this, there is a wonderful idea today. It is mooted that this type of trend should be followed. And every week we must have a webinar to discuss about so many aspects. Suppose if you open the college, there are so many problems we have to face. Technology-wise, there are so many things. See, yesterday we invited on Dr. Iswaramurthy from Singapore. He was a principal academician in Amity University. They are conducting this online program for the last 10 years, 1 decade. And the problems and the challenges they have faced and the solutions and the latest tools, these things will be highly informative for all of us. So if we are able to organize one webinar every week or every month on a fixed date, it is an open webinar, I think we can continuously update our knowledge and we can find solutions for the new challenges. I think our association should be the pioneer in all these things. See, sometimes you don't know whether, because you're all busy in that. I used to follow participants even from Chhattisgarh, Pune, and from northern areas, they're all attending our programs. That is why the quality-wise, content-wise, we are far, far better. I am really thankful to all our office bearers. And Bardiyar University is also giving their fullest cooperation by way of sharing their resources and encouraging. Anyway, we have to go a long way, and I wish that this type of activities should continue forever. Thank you very much, Ajit, Sedu, and other office bearers. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Chinraj sir. Now the first session is going to be taken by Professor T. Devi. She is the head of the department and professor of computer applications, Bardiyar University. I don't think that Devi madam requires any introduction among the faculty members, because she is one of the most vibrant professors in the Bardiyar University. She is leading the governor's and chancellor's vision 2020. She is the coordinator along with our honorable vice chancellor. And you know that after the present vice chancellor, Professor P. Kaliraj, has taken over the reins of Bardiyar University, there has been lot of developments and lot of academic changes in the Bardiyar University. And Professor Devi madam is playing a very major and vital role in bringing out the changes in Bardiyar University. I welcome Devi madam for this session, and I would also like to thank our Vice Chancellor for having deputed great and efficient personalities in academics to be part of our program. I welcome you, madam, once more, and over to you, madam. Thank you.
Respected President and members of Association of Self-Financing Arts and Science Management Colleges of Tamil Nadu and PwC, a very warm good morning to all of you. First of all, I would like to extend my thanks to Mr. Ajit sir and Honorable Vice Chancellor for recommending professors from Bardiyar University for this webinar. The technology plays a very, very important role. And as Dr. Kannayan said, we are going to take a big U-turn once the colleges are open for students, and the faculty should equip themselves to face the race of using digital technology in the future. Let me share my screens. Today's topic is on Faculty 5.0. If you look at the last few days, Bardiyar University has introduced the term Industry 4.0 and Industry 5.0. Corresponding to that, we have Faculty 4.0 and Faculty 5.0. In the next 30 minutes, we are going to see why we should talk about Faculty 5.0 and who is a Faculty 5.0 and how a faculty can equip himself or herself to become Faculty 5.0. Why, who, how? These three questions will be answered. Why we have to have Faculty 5.0? Industry 4.0 is transforming the world. It is completely about digital transformation. People are looking at how can I automate these processes. Imagine if all these colleges, our own university, might have gone in for online learning management solutions 2 years ago. Whatever happens in the physical world, we might have continued in the virtual world to teach and continue our education. In France, once the pandemic period started, within 2 days, all the faculty were given online training to come on the digital media and to start the school education. So this digital media, like here is an example. If we have to meet 90, it is crossing 100 numbers of participants here. If we have to meet them, conduct such type of seminar, how much of travel time and cost would have incurred? Using digital technology, it becomes very, very easy to meet the people and share the knowledge. In Industry 4.0, if you look at, there are various tools. The first one is Internet of Things, which talks about sensors, artificial intelligence, which talks about infusing intelligence into the computers through machine learning. Augmented reality is merging the real and virtual world. Cloud is storing the data so that the data can be accessed from anywhere by anyone at any point of time. Whenever there is a weapon, like whenever there is a tool, there are two sides, advantages and disadvantages. Once you go on the digital media, then the security of the data becomes a big issue. Cybersecurity plays a very important role, and global cybersecurity requirements, if you look at, it goes in millions and millions. So we have to make our students ready to be cyber warriors of tomorrow. And data becomes plays a very important role. And when the data is huge in volume, and when it is of heterogeneous variety, then big data technology comes into picture. Nowadays, people are not using much of the desktops and the laptops. They use mobile for everything. So for every software tool on the desktop, there is an equivalent app on the mobile. So if students are imparted with the knowledge of developing mobile apps, they will have a good future. Why all this is happening? Because people are trying to become number one in the global world. It is not only within a nation, we have to be number one in global world. Bharatiya University is really marching towards to become one among the top 500 universities in the globe. So globalization is the Tarak mantra. And people talk about cyber physical system. As the name cyber implies computer. 0 and 1. 0, 1 are the bits that are stored inside the computer, and cyber physical system integrates the computation, networking, and the physical processes so that the monitoring and controlling of the physical processes will be happening using the feedback loops. And if you look at DST, it has called for proposals on cyber physical system, where IoT, embedded systems play a very important role. And if you look at Industry 4.0, it is all about smart factories. Everything should be smart. ASFA SM is very smart in organizing this seminar using the technology. This is the smartness. So the smartness and the automation, they go hand in hand in manufacturing technologies. Data exchange should be automatic. So the processes which use the data for automation include cyber physical system, Internet of Things, which are nothing but sensors, and industrial Internet of Things, cloud computing, cognitive computing, how people use their knowledge to solve the problem, cognition and artificial intelligence. This is about Industry 4.0. When we were looking at Industry 4.0, some of the colleges have already included big data, data analytics, cybersecurity as a paper, core paper, or as an elective, or as a full program. But when we are looking at this now, next month, if you look at it in Bangalore, there is a conference or global summit on Industry 5.0. Like if you look at the IT industries, IT industry giants are coming there to talk about Industry 5.0. What is Industry 5.0? Industry 5.0 is about speed and energy. The next industrial revolution is about speed and energy. the speed in digital transformation in VUCA world. If you look at the world that we live now, it's very volatile. It is very uncertain. Uber, Ola, they were running like anything. But what happened now during this pandemic period for those businesses? Volatile, very uncertain, it is very complex, and ambiguity is more. We used to say that there was only 5% of uncertainty, 2% of uncertainty. At the beginning of the webinar, the professor asked Dr. Chinnaraj sir, when are you going to open the college? Anybody in this panel, we cannot surely say when we are going to meet our students. What is the status of our students today? Are they okay? Even at the age of 57, I found it difficult to sit at home idle for 2 or 3 days. Imagine the young generation, young blood, how are they going to face? So it is a very volatile world. It is going to be very volatile and ambiguous. So how are we going to prepare our students to face such challenging load? The two technologies that are emerging during Industry 5.0 period are quantum computing and 5G. Quantum computing, as the name implies, it is based on quad bits. In a computer, in a single bit, you can store either 0 or 1. Now, in the place of a single bit, there will be a vector of bits will be stored. More than 1 bit, there will be 5 bits stored, so that the speed will increase enormously. So high performance computing, quantum computing will play a very big role, and 5G technology will be used. It's all about the speed in globalization. Who comes first in the race to reach the topmost position in the globe? And now, when I talk about digital technology and computer science courses, other teachers, non-computer science teachers used to think this is only for computer science. But now that is not the case. Computer science and digital technologies are entering into all subject areas. Big data analytics into social science, environmental control using big data analytics, biology and data analytics and artificial intelligence, especially machine learning for economic policy decision making, artificial intelligence into arts and science, process automation. As you know, Bharatiya University has signed an MOU with UiPath to teach process automation to the students. We are undergoing the training program and it is wonderful. They have come out with such a lovely software, UiPath, where everything can be automated. And Internet of Things, sensors, data capturing, augmented reality based teaching. So we have done a mapping at Bharatiya University, what Industry 4.2 can be mapped onto which subject, which degree programs. They have come out this mapping that Introduction to Industry 4.0 will be a subject that can be introduced in all the departments. Big data analytics and in commerce, social science, management, physical education, human genetics, and so on. When big data analytics gets applied on to management, it gets the term of business analytics. Internet of Things can be taught onto environmental science, physics, medical physics, electronics, augmented reality into chemistry, textiles, education, and computer science. Artificial intelligence is needed across all departments. At RPA, process automation, as the name implies, robotic, it is not a hardware, it is a soft bot. It is a soft robot, software-based robotic process automation for across all departments. Who is Faculty 5.0? A good teacher tells, the mediocre teacher tells, the good teacher explains, the superior teacher demonstrates, the great teacher inspires. So we want to have great teachers in Industry 5.0 world. What is inspire? That is the key word. What does it mean? Inflame or blow it. There will be a small thing that will be there inside the student. Identify it. Light a small fire so that it will blow. The low flame will get into a big fire. Trigger it. So fill someone with the urge or ability or feel something, especially to do something creative. We have to make our students creative. How to inspire? Okay. Identify the potential within the students. As a teacher, just don't go face the board or face the LCD projector. Just tell the subject and come out. Don't do that. The first 5 minutes, warm up the class by asking how the students are today. There might be a student sitting in the third row with a big sorrow in his heart. Touch his heart and say, I'm there. Okay, this is nothing. You can face it like this. Identify in what mood the students are. So warm up the students and then start your lecturing. Identify the potential within the students' strength and weaknesses. Appreciate for, sorry for the spelling mistake there, appreciate for their small achievements. A pat on the shoulder, even at the age of 57, makes me happy to achieve more. So for younger generation, they need more pats on their shoulder. Motivate them to look around the newspapers, media, what is happening today. Look into the wanted columns, what kind of soft skills or hardcore skills that they are asking. Ask them to look around and feel the environment. Identify few industries where your alumni are there. Alumni are the main source to handhold with your current students and to take them above. Management and principals can set the line, but it is you, young faculty, who should really make it happen within your colleges. So they may conduct alumni meetings and so on. You come, participate, identify the alumni, match with the current students, make an opportunity for the current students to meet the alumni, ask alumni to share their experience with the current students. Creativity. I'm listening to this word for the last 5 years. Wherever I go for boards of studies, there are some professors who come from IITs and leading engineering colleges, and they say, Madam, please include a subject on creativity and problem solving. But I don't think many of the colleges have introduced this subject. Now is the right time to introduce a subject on creativity. Here is a sample syllabus. I'll just share my slides with the organizers. So identify the students with creativity, nurture their creativity so that they will end up starting a small startup and they will become entrepreneurs. It is said that 20% of the students in a class are with creativity. We have to identify those students with creativity. When some students talk outside the subject, we usually say, no, that we will discuss separately. Allow them to talk. Those students who are with creativity, they can't sit quietly. They will disturb the class. They will come out with some innovative ideas. Sometimes we may not understand. It happened in 1990s when I was guiding MCA student. Beginning of 1990s, a student did a project only on prototyping. What is prototyping? How to do software prototyping and so on. We teachers felt that this is a new area. You didn't develop any software. Why you are doing this? But 5 years down the line, that came as a separate subject in software engineering. So some students will be very different. You spend some time, identify, talk with them so that they will become job givers, not job seekers. So 20% of the students in every class are job givers. So we have to identify them. Feedback plays a very, very important role. And when you give a form and ask them to fill, they will fill it up. But taking feedback very casually is a very good way to make the students to talk freely. I was sitting at home one fine day before some 4 years. A student called me. She came all the way from Canada to study MSc Data Analytics program. I just asked her, you have completed your program. How are you? When are you going back and joining your husband in Canada? She said, Madam, my husband sent me that this course is good, go and learn. And now I feel that I should have attended the 10 days of IoT program that you conducted on our campus. So we had MSc Data Analytics syllabus. We didn't include IoT at that time. We conducted IoT seminar program, workshop for 10 days, hands-on by inviting industry expert, EC Design Systems from Coimbatore. Though she told me those students, 6 students who attended the IoT program are absorbed in Trivandrum for 7 lakhs per annum. That's the salary. So that really gave me a spark that data analytics plus IoT, and they go hand in hand. IoT are sensors which collect the data. So we can look at how IoT, Arduino programming, Python programming can be done using sensors. And we made our faculty to get training on IoT, and we introduced, and now the course is going very well. Students are very happy. So even a small information that a student gives, give much attention, understand their inputs from their point of view, and try to implement those good ideas inside your curriculum and syllabi. And even if a student says that something is wrong, something is bad, look at the criticism with a positive mindset. Because somebody said this is not good, don't take the person wrong. Look at the problem as a problem, not the person as a problematic person. Failure. Whenever any student tries anything, there are chances for failure. We plan something, we put enormous hard work, and there are chances for failure. Teach them how to face the failure. Ask them to analyze the failure. What are the learnings that he got by trying that method? Analyze the failure. What are the learnings out of it? And ask him to get back quickly onto track. It doesn't matter if a student fails when he's trying some project or something, but how quickly he or she gets back onto track and then runs matters a lot. Teach them that. It is a big world out there to conquer. Tell them there are plenty of opportunities. When I was doing my research, PhD, in University of Warwick, UK, in my third year, every year there is an annual review meeting, like doctoral committee meeting here. Based on the performance in the doctoral committee meeting only, they will extend the scholarship. Without scholarship, it's very difficult to live in a foreign country. In the third year, next day when I had to attend the research committee meeting, the previous week, my software failed. I had to face the dean, the HOD, and the guide in the doctoral committee meeting. I remember the name of the dean, Professor Whitehouse. I explained my research work and I said I failed in my research because my prototype is not working. My software prototype is not working. Professor Whitehouse, he was at that time 65 years old in 1998. He said, "My dear child, you didn't fail. Please, your software prototype failed. Your work failed. There is a difference between you failing and your work failing. Even if your software prototype fails, you try for next 1 month. Even if you are unable to set it right, you write your PhD thesis, analyze why it failed, record it in your thesis, still you will get your PhD and you will be successful." Those forthcoming students who read your thesis will not try that problem in that direction. Still you are contributing the knowledge. That words of that there is a difference between a person failing and their person's work failing cleared my mind like anything, and within 2 weeks my software prototype was successful. So even if a student fails, on those students, on those weaker students, or those students who face failure, spend more time with them than the successful students. Faculty 5.0, they are human-centric, student-centric. In medicine, they have personalized medicine. You go, check your health, there is a problem. Depending on your food habits, on your weight, on your health condition, the doctor prescribes the medicine. Similarly, it is going to be a personalized teaching tomorrow. You cannot have all the 40 students in one class and teach. Okay, among the 40, identify the bright, give them something. Identify the average, give them something else. Identify the weaker students, or among the weaker, there might be 3 entrepreneurs sitting in your class you may not know. So they may be in the weaker initially, but when you coach them, you may find out they are the brightest. So it is going to be a personalized teaching for the students 10 years down the line. So we should be student-centric, And those students are having a thirst for knowledge. In order to feed them, first of all, as a faculty, you should have the thirst for knowledge. What is happening today? How technology is evolving, how the subject that I teach, social science, is evolving. So you have to have a thirst for knowledge, and you have to spend at least 1 to 2 hours apart from your teaching and administration to gain the new knowledge. Design thinking is a Tarak mantra that should form a part of the curriculum. And design thinking, as the name implies, it is not about designs. It is not about designing process like the mechanical design. It is designing your own thinking. And you be empathetic with the students. What is empathetic? Be empathetic to identify the problems from the shoes of the sufferers. So there is a good video on that. I'll provide a link on how to understand empathetic at the end of my session. Identify creative students and nurture them. How Faculty 5.0 can do all this. Any institution should run induction programs for the faculty and for new faculty, and professional development programs for the faculty. Now it is digital transformation. So call experts and give them more exposure on how to use learning management solutions. And as a faculty, each individual faculty should be exposed to the industry. In Andhra Pradesh, one of the IT advisors 3 months ago, I think 4 months ago in January, he arranged 50 buses. He arranged 50 buses. He took all the first year undergraduate students, 50 students per bus, so 50 into 52,500 students buses, and these buses were flown inside the industry. One bus to one industry, IT industry. An IT industry may be in networks, another IT industry may be in web development, another one may be service provider. So a bus will go to one industry in the morning, and these students will be allowed to go inside and talk with the managers. There were seminars inside the industry for these students. They will spend the entire day in the industry. So they will get a feel on day one about 50 students in network industry, next day in a services industry, next day in a web development industry, and so on. So they will dream, this is the place where I'm going to work tomorrow. Give them a feel of it. And then, so like this for 50 days, different industries. And then CEOs of the industries were allowed to travel with these students in the bus, just a tour around the city in Hyderabad. And the CEO shared his knowledge of how he became a CEO, how he became an entrepreneur with the students. This really changed the mindset of the students. So industrial exposure to faculty and students are very important. E-content development training programs need to be given. Faculty can go to YouTube videos and the keyword. There are n number of videos and they are rated also. Those videos which are visited most may be taken, and you can spend your time in learning how to develop e-contents. And methods for skilling for global competency. Whatever we do, if we can solve for the domestic problems, will not suffice. There is a competition in the global world, so we have to make our students ready to face the global competency. Global reachability and global recognition are very important for the faculty. If you go to any YouTube and use cybersecurity, a teacher from Coimbatore, Dr. Padmavati of Avinash Lingam College, my own friend, is teaching cybersecurity for the last 1.5 years to Swayam. The lectures are so good, it reaches the entire globe. The recognition by the globe is very important for a faculty to survive in this competitive world. We should not give the subject knowledge alone. We should develop our students so that they will evaluate the information that they obtain and they will come to a rational conclusion. The student should be able to make some appropriate decisions, because The world we are living, we lived when we were students is completely different from what our students are facing. Who is a good faculty? I just asked casually. Yesterday, I met an engineering student and I told him I'm preparing for this class. I just asked a student, who is a good faculty according to you? He's from a Coimbatore Engineering College. The student very casually said, in the first instance, I liked it, and then I asked him to repeat and I just captured. One who does not alone teaches the subject, but also teaches how to face situations in real life is a good teacher, according to a student. One who teaches to react spontaneously in the critical situation. One who identifies the creativity available within a student and fuses that with the subject that is being taught. This student is from Kumaraguru College of Technology, a mechatronics student. He beautifully put it. Subject knowledge is very, very essential. Apart from that, teach the student how to face situations in real life. Take some example, take some role models, spend 5 minutes in your class, teach them about this. One who teaches to react spontaneously in the critical situations. Creativity available within a student and fuses that with the subject that is being taught. One mechatronics assistant professor in Kumaraguru College of Technology identified the creative potential within 2 students, motivated them to compete in the international competition. You won't believe 1,200 teams from IITs, IIMs all participated. This Kumaraguru College Technology team won the Make in India award at the international level, Kolkata. Engaging, innovating, supportive, organizing, encouraging, so many things that a faculty has to do. Faculty should communicate well. Faculty should be enthusiastic about the subject, what he or she teaches. How a faculty can achieve this? In any college, when the freshers join, run boot camps for 2 to 3 days. Okay, first the CEO of the college will address, and then the principal will address, and then some senior teachers will address, and then identify potential senior students to address the students, conduct games, quizzes. In those 3 days, the senior faculty team should go around and identify the potential of the individual. Those students with the potential will automatically raise onto the stage, give them small prizes, identify the talented students. That is the first step. Run boot camps for the freshers, identify the talents, and create opportunities for them so that their talent will be improved further, so that they will learn more and improve their talents. And team up the students, the alumni, and the seniors on campus. Motivate the students to attend competition hackathons. There are IT organizations which actually run hackathons nowadays to select students. Hackathon is announcing a problem, the students teaming up and solving a problem. The entire team gets placed into organizations. They don't conduct tests and interviews. They run hackathons to identify the potential within the students. Those students who are successful in hackathons will solve any problem. They will face the complex world, VUCA world, easily. Teachers teach, but great teachers help us to learn and live. During this pandemic period, I attended a program on design thinking by Dr. Pawan Soni, who is an innovation evangelist. Here is the contact details. If you are interested in a workshop on design thinking, or you are framing a curriculum on design thinking to call out the innovativeness and to improve the innovativeness of the students, here is the contact details. And I have the list of books that he has recommended: The Art of Innovation, Change by Design, and the other book which he recommended for design thinking. Empathy, I mentioned in the beginning, it is defined as the ability to understand the thoughts, feelings, or the emotions of someone else. So we have to, when we are developing a new product, empathy plays a very, very important role. So there might be a challenged person, you might be developing a product, help him. And so you have to look at the problem from the perspective of the challenged person. So here is the YouTube link to have a 1 hour session on design thinking, which you can watch when your time permits. Try to introduce creativity, problem solving, and design thinking into the curriculum as a 2-credit paper or as an add-on course. How to inculcate innovativeness among students? You design awards, bulletin boards to showcase creative solutions, and this can be used to unleash the creativity and innovative solutions in the context of group discussions, brainstorming. Invite entrepreneurs into the classroom to talk about their life journey to motivate the students. And the students can be made to identify 2 directions. One, identifying the solution for existing problems, and the problem is not existing, but for that they will be giving a solution. That is, the second one is the research. Inculcating innovativeness among students, self-confidence to work in unpredictable situations. Workshops you can conduct with problem definition, and you can collect industrial problems and give that to the students to solve. Encourage research scholars to take up multidisciplinary problems, that is, supervisors can be from different departments. There are engineering colleges which has taken 1 mechanical engineer, 1 electronics engineer, 1 computer science engineer, and they have formed a product development team. And they have worked on products, and they have come out with successful products for this pandemic period to help the patients. Help students look retrospectively on their own process by filming a video diary throughout the entire year. I'll take 2 more minutes and finish it. Any institution, if you look at, it is evaluated. The faculty excellence is evaluated based on percentage of teachers who attended the professional development programs, how many teachers use information communication technology as an integral part of their teaching learning process, how much usage of e-learning resources, and how many awards, recognitions, fellowships that they have got at state, national, and international level, number of faculty who are awarded international fellowships, and how much of projects, recognitions from UGC, Social Science Research, Indian Council of Social Science Research, and similar government agencies. So to summarize, we started with Faculty 5.0 why, digital transformation, and Industry 5.0 is all about quantum computing and 5G. Industry 4.0 is all about the digital transformation and globalization, like big data analytics, artificial intelligence, IoT, process automation, cloud computing, cybersecurity, and mobile. Who is a good faculty? A faculty who inspires the students, call out the innovativeness within the students, creativity within the students, who feeds for their knowledge thirst is a good faculty. How a faculty develop themselves to become faculty 5.0. Arise, awake, stop not till the goal is reached is Vivekananda's words. I say, arise, awake, let us inspire our students, and let us be role model as a good faculty. Thank you for the wonderful opportunity. Thanks to Association of Self-Financing Arts and Science Management Colleges of Tamil Nadu and PWC.
Thank you, madam. Thank you. Thank you for your very inspiring session, madam. Now we open up the question answer session. I would request the principals and the faculty members to write first the college, the name, the college name, and then the question. The first question to you, madam, is from Dr. V. Ramachandran. of STC Pollachi, how would you relate Faculty 5.0 with that of OBE?
Sir, outcome-based education allows us to set the objectives and to meet out the objectives using certain parameters and methods. So Faculty 5.0 is a faculty who is in the era of Industry 5.0. So OBE can be applied for the education 5.0 also, where Faculty 5.0 forms a part.
Okay, ma'am. The next question is from Dr. S. Premalata, Principal Sri Ramu College of Arts and Science, Pollachi. Is COVID-19 creating a paradigm shift in our education system?
The answer is yes. These digital transformation technologies are available since 2005 onwards. We were talking about MOOC, massive open online courses. We were talking about like LMS, learning management solutions, Google Classrooms, and so on. We were not using that much. Very few colleges were using, very few teachers were using. But now this COVID has made us to turn our heads towards such tools. And they are making the teachers digital ready.
Madam, the next question is from Dr. K. Vasudevan, Vice Principal, VLB Janemal College of Arts and Science. I think curriculum should be revised in such a way to promote participative and experiential learning among the students. What is your opinion?
Very well said, sir. Like you have put it very correctly, participative learning. Actually, if there is a session in the future by ASF, ASM on digital learning, I would love to take that. We are going to have a flipped classroom. Whatever we were teaching earlier inside the classroom will be prepared as notes and pushed onto the web so that the students will learn that and come into the class. Once he comes inside the class, we will form teams among the students. We will give them problems, case studies to solve based on whatever they learned on the web-based material that the teacher has given. And it is going to be a flipped classroom, and it is going to be a blended learning where some of the things will be learned face-to-face, some of them will be digital. And we have n number of tools like Swayam, Swayam Prabha, and so many other Google Classrooms and other things, digital tools to use this. And YouTube videos on any subject. Nowadays, most of the students spend their time in learning through YouTube videos.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, put it very well, sir.
Ma'am, the next question is from Sriram Nadi, TJ Academy for Managerial Science. He has complimented you. Wonderful session. It's important to be a digital literate. What is your opinion allowing students to use mobile phones in classrooms?
Very tricky question. Mobile phone in classrooms is okay, sir. But what he is doing with the mobile phone need to be watched. See, for example, I touched upon augmented reality. Okay, there are virtual labs. Yeah, imagine we are introducing an intelligent teacher. Intelligent teacher is nothing but a machine which will teach. Say we have a computer class, computer lab. The student is typing something on the screen. There is a camera at the back which watches what he is typing. Or there is a chemistry lab. The student is mixing the chemicals, and there is a camera at the back which is watching the student and directing him, this is wrong, this is right, do like this. In a similar way, we have to sir, could you please repeat the question once more?
Allowing students to use mobile phones in the classroom.
Yes. Imagine AJK College, AJK College, a classroom. The students are using the mobile. They are asking the students to look into the mobile and learn something. There should be cameras all over to see what he is viewing. And if he is viewing other than what he is expected to do, then there will be an intelligent system which will be informing the teacher, and the teacher has to take action. So we have to have the proper digital monitoring system ready. Then we can allow.
Ma'am, the next, there's a very interesting question. He is Professor Mohammad Arshad, Assistant Professor from Nilagiri College of Arts and Science, Talur. As Japan is moving to Society 5.0, is Indian education has the basic resources to prepare to the next generation learning? Do we lag far behind?
Very, very good question, sir. Like even in Bharatiya University, we are framing a framework for education 4.0, where the infrastructure is very, very essential. Recording the teachers' lectures and online delivery, online test conduction, quiz conduction. The infrastructure has to be put in place. Otherwise, it will be very difficult for the teachers to cope with.
So infrastructure is very important.
Very, very important. So digital infrastructure, such as learning management system, video conferencing facilities, ERP systems.
Lecture capturing system is also very important.
System. Studios for lecture recording, everything is important, sir. We have to have huge investment on that, sir.
Yes.
But there are some economic tools also available, sir. I will give you a list. Ask him to note down my email ID.
Yes.
I will send him a list of software tools that are available for this.
Yes, madam. The next question is from Dr. B. Adalarasu, Dean Research, KG College of Arts and Science, Coimbatore. How to transform the students to actively participate in the online classes?
Actively participate in the... Sir, there is one interesting thing which is coming up, game-based teaching. You should not teach using theory. The same thing, we have to design a game, and through the game we have to teach. That method is coming up very well, sir. I have a very good 38 pages book on this. Once you give this to the student, once the teacher gets the practice in developing games and teaching the concepts, the students will be interested, sir. But it is a big task. Madam, slowly things are moving towards that, sir.
There's an interesting question that's from Dr. Ananda Lakshmi, Assistant Professor, VLB Janaimal College of Arts and Science, Coimbatore. Will it create inferiority complex among students when we differentiate them, as you mentioned?
Like bright and...
Yes, they're asking, will it create an inferiority complex? Because we get a lot of rural students studying in colleges who may not be, exposed to this type of, type of studies in the schools, if they come from a government school or a rural school.
Okay. I'm from a very rural background. I come from an agricultural family, first graduate from the family. I never imagined that I'll go abroad and get my degree. If the student is with the potential, initially, even though they feel inferior and so on, if you give the right environment and the right support, they will emerge like anything.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, there are many questions. I think we'll close the session. We'll tell them to directly contact you, ma'am. Thanks a lot, madam, for your time and sharing your experience and your knowledge with us. Thank you, ma'am. I would like to...
Wonderful opportunity, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. I would, participants, all these sessions are recorded. Already the yesterday session has been uploaded in the YouTube. You have to just search ASM. You will get all the programs in the YouTube. Today's session also has been recorded. It will be uploaded in the YouTube by evening 5 p.m. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
The next session is going to be handled by Dr. A. Somu. He is the principal of Sri Saraswati Tyagaraja College at Pollachi. He would be talking on the topic on Gen Next Teachers, Challenges and Opportunities. I welcome Dr. Somu to start the session. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. Over to Somu, sir.
Sir, thank you so much, sir. Thank you for the opportunities. And of course, I would like to record my sincere thanks to the association and of course the office bearers of Management Association. My topic is Gen Next teaches the opportunities and challenges. 20 years before, we thought that the online trading companies, e-commerce companies will never succeed in India, because in those days there was no internet penetration, there was no smartphones, etc. But now they are very successful because of the internet penetration and the smartphone availability. One of the important statistics is that the largest number of mobile phones is possessed by Indians. Of course, among the students, 93% of the students are using internet and having smartphones. So in that manner, if you take this into account, the online teaching will be a successful one in the years to come. Maybe it may take another 5 to 10 years. So in near future, there will be more virtual universities, and of course, the related changes in the degree, course designing, and the content preparation and the content delivery. The interesting point is here that the analog teachers are analog teachers teaching the digital kids, otherwise known as digital natives. So I'm surprisingly note that the teachers are quick enough to learn the art of the digital teaching during this pandemic period. As Mr. Sindraju pointed out, our teachers are quick enough. So there is a saying that Indians will perform under pressure situation. So same is proved by our teachers. So in the digital era, the students will decide who is his teacher, and of course, he will be able to decide the subject he wants to study, and of course, there will be a complete choice based who is his teacher and what subject and what the time and where he wants to write his examination. This is what going to happen in future. So under this context, I would like to point out here that the teachers not only refer the textbooks and consult the Google and other things. They should go beyond the Google, in the sense that see, when Dr. Devi made her presentation, she pointed out that she consulted a student to know who is a good teacher. So that is not available in any Google or anywhere, any books or any research. So we should, as a teacher of future generation, the generation next, should go beyond the Google. So in that sense, educationists strongly recommend intensive, in the sense industrial training for the teachers to know what is happening in the industry. So a report says that education and health sector are the emerging sectors in the days to come. So already there are so many virtual universities in foreign countries. So in India, as pointed out by Dr. Devi, we have SWAYAM, NPTEL, so many online courses are being offered. These courses are skill-based courses. So not as a degree program. See, these courses are offered as a certificate course or a diploma course, not as a degree course. So in future, there will be a chance for virtual universities in India. So coming to I would like to share my presentation. Yeah. the role of a teacher, right? So the first role of a teacher is information provider. So there will be a huge change in providing information. So the teacher should prepare well for his subject and deliver it in the form of lecture and conduct practicals or clinical teaching. So whatever it is, right? You should go beyond the books and you should draw, inputs from the industrial experience. The second one is resource developer. So this is where the role comes for a teacher in an important manner. So the resource material creation is very important thing, and he is a study guide producer, and of course he is a planner, curriculum planner, and course organizer and assessor. The assessment, there will be a huge change in the assessment method that we will discuss under the head challenges. And nowadays, the teacher should become a facilitator, not only a teacher. He should ment his students, and he should help the students as a facilitator in learning and in writing his examination, whatever, even in his personal problem, he can attend to it. So Dr. Devi told about empathy. The teacher should understand the problem of the students from their point of view, because we draw students from different segments of the society. A student from affluent family or student from poor family. We should understand the students, but never forget that we should not teach them to their level. We should always teach them and bring them to our level. So that is the idea of teaching. And of course, he is a role model, on the job role model, and a teaching role model. Focus areas in case of Gen X teachers. So traditionally, the first three are the focus areas for a teacher: teaching, research, consultancy. And of course, the Gen X teachers has to perform three more functions, or focus on three more areas. Administration, you should take part in administration, and of course involve himself in accreditation, and he should also involve himself in admission process. So when I say admission process, even universities from foreign countries, they open their shops here to attract the students, Indian students. So they participate in educational fairs to get the students for their universities. So I discussed with the director of a business school recently. He told that even we are facing admission problem. They are unable to get capitation as before. So that's what. So everywhere attracting students is a difficult thing. Naturally, teacher is expected to attract students. So accordingly, you should build image for the institution. So the purpose of education is knowledge, imparting knowledge, skill sets, attitude, building attitude, and creating good citizens or smart citizens for the country. So imparting knowledge is basic purpose of education, or the function of a teacher. So so knowledge imparting, there won't be any change in the online teaching or offline teaching, classroom teaching, or whatever it is. Imparting skills, there won't be any change. But in case of building attitude, right attitude is little bit difficult in case of online teaching. So only when the teacher is facing his class, in the facing the students in the classroom, he will be able to build character, and he can mold. So as and when required, he can provide guidance, he can counsel the students, and of course build good attitude among the students and resulting in creating good citizens and smart citizens for the country. So there are three critical areas for a modern teacher or a generation next teacher. So these are the three areas: content preparation. So earlier we used to prepare class notes, and of course to the maximum we prepare PPT for using it in the classroom. And of course for online teaching, the content preparation is totally different. So the teacher must be able to prepare videos, teacher must be prepare games, teacher must prepare a set of questions for quiz, conducting quiz. So we are all talking about gamification, we are all talking about edutainment. So naturally the content preparation plays very important role for Gen Next teachers. So similarly, content delivery. So content, there is a difference between classroom teaching and online teaching. So content delivery, we must make use of appropriate technology to deliver the content interestingly to the students. So we must be able to know where to stop. You say for example, you take any YouTube videos, it won't go beyond 10 minutes. So that is the attention span for any student. So the teacher must know where to stop and where to conduct a quiz, where to administer quiz programs, or where to use puzzles, and where to give exercises, or where to involve them in group discussion. So content delivery effectively is very, very important. Effective in the sense it should be interesting, it should reach the students. The third focus area is use of appropriate technology. This is where we are facing a lot of challenges, because the only after the COVID-19, most of the teachers and students are just thrown into the swimming pool and asked them to learn swimming. So we have not imparted any training program. So Dr. Devi clearly pointed out that there should be a training program, a boot camp. So she has used a technical term, boot camp, for the faculty and for the students as well, how to make use of the technology in online classes or virtual classes. So what are the challenges? As we have already discussed, handling of tools and technology, both for staff and students, should be trained appropriately, adequately. And absence of emotional connect is another important challenge, because there is no face-to-face interaction. We may not be able to understand the pulse of the student, and in case of in case of classroom teaching, we may be able to read the faces, whether the student is able to comprehend the ideas or understand the subject well, and if required we can repeat. And in case of online teaching, this is not possible. There is no face-to-face interaction. Of course we have chat box and other things, and of course one of the interesting point I discussed with a student, that he has told that this online teaching, in case of online teaching, he is able to raise whatever the doubt he has through chat box. In classroom environment, due to fear or shyness, the student may not raise the question as in the case of online. So there are both plus points and minus points. So cannot notice the reactions of the students in case of online teaching. No networking for the students, no public relations among the students. These are all very important for a student to mold himself as a good citizen. So drawing the attention of the students will be a difficult task. One of the listener has asked about how to make the online classes interesting. You conduct games once in 10 minutes or once in 20 minutes. You conduct games, or we are talking about gamification. So Dr. Devi told that she has written a book on this, right? 38-page book, I think so. So quiz programs, puzzles, tests, exercises, and we are talking about edutainment. So using practical examples. I told about this breaking the session once in 10 minutes, and you should, that teacher concerned should decide where to break and where to resume his role as a teacher. And of course, course designing for online teaching is totally different. So you should put in his mind to design the courses as expected by the students. So content developing is another important area where the students should concentrate. So here, the colleges and the teachers need not prepare alone. They can draw the services of subject matter experts. You can make use of them. A team can even be formed to develop contents for a subject. For example, in case of mathematics, topology, you can draw the best brains in the city, and you can make them to sit for a few days and develop the content for the subject. So similarly for e-marketing, marketing, you can draw the best brains, and in fact you can include the industry people also to develop subject for the, content for the subject. Similarly, a studio can be established for producing videos and post-production works. Start with, few colleges can join together and to establish studios. And because creating a studio is a little bit costlier, and of course we are expected to produce videos of international quality, because these online classes are not only conducted to students of your own institution. So there is a possibility of attracting international students, and if not directly from USA or developed countries, we are able to attract students, international students from developing countries. So international rural students can be easily attracted. So the African students can be easily attracted when we establish or we create online classes or offer online courses. So another important challenge is infrastructure, the internet penetration. Of course, internet is available everywhere, but the signal quality is very important. For conducting online, for sending SMS or voice calls or WhatsApp even, the low signal itself is enough. But in case of conducting online classes, so we need quality internet everywhere, because students will be everywhere. The students will listen to your classes at any time. So the infrastructure availability in India as of now is not up to the expectation, and that is the reason why we are unable to reach all the students during this pandemic period. Only we are able to reach around 60%. So though 93% of the students are having smartphone and having internet connections, the quality of signal, quality of internet connectivity, and is very critical in this case. So laptops. So most of the students are having only mobile phone. The availability of laptop with the faculty and the students as well is a big question. And of course, studios for production and post-production work. Of course, this is another infrastructure problem. And as of now, so few colleges are having visual communication where they can immediately start producing videos. And of course, for many colleges facing or they have to create facilities. And of course, another important challenge for a teacher of next generation, customized teaching. So in a classroom, there is no customized teaching. The teacher will teach the class generally. But in case of online teaching, the teacher should be a segment focused. As Devi pointed out, fast learner, slow learner, average learners are there. So accordingly, you need to prepare the contents. Level 1 content for beginners, content for medium stage students, and content for advanced learners. Similarly, you need to test them, conduct examinations, and prepare the questions according to their levels. So with the minimum complexity and medium complexity and high complexity. It depends on the segment of the students you are going to deal with it. And individual students focused. So the future teachers must focus individual students, their learning ability, their mind, their other aspects, other environmental factors should be taken into account. And of course, another important challenge is mindset of the teachers. So teachers generally feel that this is why should we change to the online mode? At least teachers may feel that it is a pressure on them, and this is one of the important challenge. And this mindset should be changed. And of course, we need to conduct orientation classes for the teachers, because future lies in online classes. At least the UGC suggests that up to 30% of the teaching shall be in online mode. And of course, we can slowly, at least 2 topics in a unit can be taught through virtual classes or online mode. So the resistance to change may be another important challenge on the part of the faculty and on the part of the students also. And then testing and evaluation challenges. This is a very, very important critical area or critical challenges, right? So we have established a procedure for conducting tests, right? We have invigilators. Invigilators will invigilate, but in case of online testing, the proctoring and the supervision is very difficult. Of course, in future, the examination will be conducted anywhere and any time. Make use of technology. The artificial intelligence in proctoring will be used. See, as Dr. Devi pointed out, so we will be using the artificial intelligence to capture the eye movements and of course voice recognition, whether the student himself is talking or he is using any other duplicate person. So all can be found if we make use. So these technologies are used in foreign countries already. Plagiarism are used, and open book tests are being conducted, and the students allowed to browse the internet, consult the Google for writing the examination. But the questions are different, totally different. For each student, they have separate questions. One student cannot copy from other student. So one question will not repeat for, in the near future. So I discussed this matter with regard to conducting examinations with an official from Infosys. They are conducting after training process. They are conducting online tests. So a set of recruits are trained in other countries. They are being tested from Mysore campus, and they are effectively utilizing the artificial intelligence. If they attempt to copy from anything, immediately the system will lock out see, they will say there is a problem in your connection, and there will be a message displaying that sorry, you make another attempt. So like this, artificial intelligence will play very important role in future in testing, conducting tests, even evaluation. So as soon as the test is over, evaluation is done, the next day morning, the marks will be available on the table of the HR manager to rank the employees. So of course, we can make use of the question bank. So question bank will play a very important role in conducting the examinations in online. So in case of Infosys, they are using question banks with the different complexities. See, simple, medium, and high complex questions are used. So a question is used only for 5 times. So once the question is used for 5 times, there will be a message that insufficient question. We cannot. It is not possible to set the question. So then they have to upload the new questions. So MCQs shall be used. This may be a simple MCQs or complex MCQs, say for testing the students. So let us come to the opportunity part. So it's very interesting to note that teachers will be empowered. So for example, we select a doctor not based on the hospital, but based on the teachers. I mean the doctor. So in future we need to become a super specialist, a specialist in digital marketing, a specialist in other subjects, financial management, capital market. So like this, teachers will be empowered. Teachers will be given more importance by the students. So automatically, teachers are empowered. And of course, content creation is one of the top businesses in the days to come. So there will be independent freelancers. They can make ready-made, made-ready content. Maybe supplied to the colleges. For example, you are teaching operational research. Sir, we have very good content. We have prepared with using international experts. Why don't you buy? So this kind of content creation business will be possible in the near future, in another 5 to 10 years, and this business will emerge. And then common facility centers may be created. There is a possibility of common facility centers in each university or each zone. The colleges may come together and create common facility centers like studios, and studios for, they can buy a costly, a quality camera to capture the lectures, etc. So collaboration with other institutions for content preparation, this is possible. It's an opportunity, and experts from different institutions shall be drawn. This is another opportunity for the institutions. And for teachers, self-branding is possible, right? So if you are a specialist, I told about super specialist. I told about going beyond the Google. So self-branding is possible for the teachers. If you are a good teacher, you will be recognized by the community, virtual community. We can say virtual student community. So the entire world will know if you are a good teacher, because it is thrown open to the entire world. Once it goes in the air, it is recorded and repeatedly watched, and you will be known in no time. You will be known to the entire world, the students community. So worldwide interaction is possible. So when you say something, so there will be a positive response, and there will be a negative response, and there will be a criticism, and you can fine tune your lecture process. The international interaction is possible because of availability of internet and other mediums. So zero distance. So distance between the students. So there is no geographical boundary. You can attract students. As of now, as I told you, we can attract students from developing countries like African countries for our institutions. Zero distance or location, geographical location will not be a problem to attract the international students. So flexible working time and wide reach for the faculty members. So they can find a lot of time. Flexible working time is possible for the Gen Next teachers. Additional income. So huge scope for earning additional income is there. So by preparing content or by consultancy or by research work, huge scope is there for the teachers. More time at the disposal of teacher, as tools can take care many routine operational tasks. For example, even the test papers are evaluated by machines or using artificial intelligence, right? You can conduct a test, and of course the next day you will get the grade sheets. So such kind of situation will be more useful for the faculty members. So coming to the conclusion part. So huge investment is required to create infrastructure in the sense, the ecosystem, including ecosystem, that is internet penetrations, and of course the gadgets, maybe laptops, having world-class studios, cameras, etc. So training is very important for the teachers, not only teachers but also for the students, how to make use of the online classes, and finally the mind to change. This is where the success lies. Of course, yeah, as a teachers, we all know that we need to develop various qualities, the competencies and the communication skill, of course, all other soft skills to make the classes interesting and of course useful to the students community. So with this, I'm concluding. Now the session is open for questions.
Thank you, Somu sir. So I'll open the questions for Somu sir. The first question is, can we engage educational TV channel in our college? That's the question from Shiva Subramaniam, Assistant Professor Computer Science, Turf College of Arts and Science, Tirupur.
Yeah, the Ministry of Human Resource, Central Government Ministry is going to come up.
We are not able to hear you. Can you be a little bit loud?
So the Ministry of Human Resource is coming out with a lot of investments on infrastructure creating, including coming out with channels. We can make use of channels even in the colleges, no issue at all, because it is an emerging trend in teaching learning process.
Okay. The next question is from Dr. B. Kalpana, Emerald Heights College for Women, Ooty. Do you think online teaching is effective for problematic subjects like mathematics, where step-by-step explanation is mandatory?
Yes. Of course, as of now, as on today, it is only a supplementary. It is not a complementary. See, the classroom teaching is still effective. So, given the situations. So, but in future, any subject can be taught, because you can make use of experts and shoot their capture their classroom lecture and display to your students. So any subjects can be taught except practical subjects like civil engineering or mechanical engineering, where physical lab is required. Even in Georgia University, I spoke to a student from Georgia University where is at least 40 to 50% of the syllabus are taught only through online. So students are required to come to the campus only for physical lab. So any subject can be taught, provided if we have that appropriate and sufficient, infrastructure.
We have got Dr. V. Ramachandran from your college itself. So he's asking question to you through video. So he has got a question. Dr. V. Ramachandran, STVC Pollachi. How would you foresee if the students have the liberty or right to select their own subject teachers? He is asking, does the students have the liberty?
It is already practiced by few deemed to be universities. So I can name in VIT, they are adopting the complete choice-based system. Say for example, financial management. This subject is offered by 2 or 3 faculty members, and of course, the subject is open to. The teachers are open to the choices of students. Students can book their teachers, right? So the moment it is open in online, they can quickly prefer the teacher. So if the strength comes to 60, the teacher's class is over. He has to select other teachers.
Okay.
So
I think the question which Dr. Geeta of TIPS College of Arts and Science, Coimbatore has asked is relating to Devi Madam. So what I would do is, I would give the mobile number to Dr. Geeta, where she can ask this question directly to Devi Madam. The next question is from Shiva Subramaniam of Assistant Professor Computer Science, Tufts College. Can we engage educational TV channel? Same question, I think.
Yes, we can engage.
Okay,
we can engage. But the thing is, we cannot interact. There won't be any interactive mode in when you use the TV channels. You can listen, like a TV. You can watch. You can't interact. But in case of a virtual classroom, there is a scope for interaction. There will be a chat room, and of course you can the teacher is teaching live. In educational channels, they only recorded programs are being broadcast. That is the problem. But you can selectively use.
The next question is from Banu Priya, Assistant Professor VLB Janemal College of Arts and Science, Coimbatore. Thank you for your valuable session, sir. Except Google Books, what are the other available resources available to collect material for students, sir? Apart from Google and books.
Questions. Yes. Very interesting. I told that the teachers, modern day teachers, Gen X teachers should go beyond Google. You see, in the first session, Dr. Devi identified the quality of good teacher by interacting with the students of Kumaraguru College of Technology. So similarly, the teachers should have practical knowledge by survey or by conducting research and having internship with the industry. So many suggest that the teachers should have, like students, teachers should also undergo internship periodically to update their knowledge. So this is the source.
Thank you, sir. We have already shared the link for the feedback. Faculty members, the principals who are on the participants are kindly requested to fill the feedback form. We have already shared it. And we would also once more like to remind you that we have shared all the webinar sessions in the YouTube. Our YouTube channel is FASM. We would also request you to like the channel and also subscribe for the channel. It's a request to all the participants to kindly like and subscribe the channel so that we will get more views for our programs. Thank you, everyone. I will go to the next question. It's from Dr. Muthusamy. He is the principal of ABP College, Tirupur. I really appreciate Muthusamy sir for asking questions for every session, and he is attending the session regularly. The question is, what is your prediction on effect of introduction of online teaching towards teacher-student ratio? Teacher-student ratio, because in classroom teaching, we have got a teacher-student ratio. So he is asking, online teaching, what is a student-teacher ratio?
Yeah, see, for having effective interaction with the students, it should not go beyond 40. It should not be above 40 strength. Right. So it should. It is an online teaching. It's a classroom, just like a classroom in virtual format. It is not public addressing or meeting like.
So the effective is 40. Okay. The next question is
span of control. We talk about span of control, and this is 40 is applicable for the online teaching classroom also. Yes.
Okay. The next question is from Dr. D. Mahesh Kumar. He is the Associate Professor of in Electronics, PSG College of Arts and Science, Coimbatore. His question is, how the students can be made engaged during the online teaching methodology? It will be a real challenging one, so that how it can be made.
Yeah, students can leave the session in the middle. So we are facing a lot of practical problems. What is important is we should the 2K kids are very screwed enough to understand whether the lecture is interesting or not. So we should make the session interesting, and we must know where to break and where to conduct bustles, where to conduct quiz programs, where to give exercise, where to open the session for interaction among the participants, among the classmates. So this is how we need to make the class interesting. Of course, if you come out with any material from the internet, students will get bored, definitely. So you can make use of the internet resources, e-resources, as one of the reference materials, and you should create your own materials interesting to the students community. So this is how we need to engage the students effectively in the classroom, virtual classroom environment.
The next question is, the present situation reduces the job opportunity for the faculty in the colleges due to online teaching, especially in self-financing colleges. How are we going to overcome this?
So basically, the future is for specialists. Not only specialists, only the super specialists will have more scope. And of course, in India, the percentage of students coming to the portals of higher education is around 27. In Tamil Nadu, it is close to 50%. It means that we have scope for another 50% of the students in Tamil Nadu, another 70% from all over India. So the scope is less for the teacher, is not a genuine fear among the faculty. Certainly, if we built an image on our own, and of course, in management, we used to say that performers never seek security, never afraid of losing job. So if you are a performer, you will not lose your job. So you have to update yourself or outdate yourself. So updation is very important. How quickly you are adapting to technology is very important.
Dear teachers, I have got a take on it. Don't worry about losing jobs. Colleges are always looking for good quality teachers. Always quality teachers will be needed in whether it is in self-financing college or whether it is in any type of college. You have to keep on updating yourself, especially with this current trend. You should be tech savvy. You should have good communication skills. You should have good written skills. You should have interpersonal skills. And most of that, you should have also good leadership skills. So once all these things are combined, don't worry, the colleges will come in search of you. You don't have to go in search of the colleges. Thank you, sir. The next question is from Jay Sudha.
Yes.
She has, I'm sorry, she has not asked any question. The next question is from Muthusamy, sir. What are the major consultancy areas for arts and science colleges?
Yeah, when I say consultancy, see, basic, there are three important functions for a teacher. So teaching, research, consultancy. So consultancy is nothing but from the lab to land. Whatever the findings you have, you should reach the students, I mean the common public. So the question is that what are the scope for the social science, consultancy in social science. So it may be in the form of survey, conducting survey for the industry, and offering any complex HR problem, solution to complex HR problem, or offering solution to improve the productivity, or offering solution to cut the cost, or increase the productivity, or reducing the hurdles in logistics. So all this will be a consultancy.
Okay. The next question is from Narayana Ganeshan. I don't know from which college he's from. He says that Dr. Somu, excellent presentation. Thanks. Just an observation, all the institutions should have a training and learning division through which faculty can be trained to tech gen next students. I would request Dr. Narayanan to contact your college principal and give your suggestions to him. And if your college is not having so, please tell them to have one. Thank you, sir. The next question is Dr. V. Ramachandran.
In fact, we have, once again, sir,
yes,
we have Center for Faculty Development headed by Dr. V. Ramachandran. He asked one question, through video.
I think there are a lot of more questions. We'll close the session for today.
So thank you all the participants.
Thank you, sir. Tomorrow the session is going to be handled by the first session by Raja Vishwanathan. He is a scientist from InfliBinet Center, Gujarat. You all must be knowing about InfliBinet. It's one of the nodal agencies of MHRD. And I request all the participants to attend tomorrow's program also, because a lot of ideas can be shared tomorrow. And then we have got Dr. Maragadam. She is the principal of Vellalar College of Arts and Science. She is talking on the topic smart to the smartest. So what she's trying is to say is we are already smart. All the teachers are smart. All the principals are smart. Secretaries are smart. But smart survival of the smartest. So we have to be becoming more and more smartest to be able to survive in this situation. I would request our association secretary, Dr. T. Sedubadi, to propose the vote of thanks.
Respected President, Dr. Somu, and all the participants, I thank you one and all for having attended for today's function. I extend my special thanks to Dr. Somu for his wonderful presentation, and we expect all the participants to join for the tomorrow's webinar also, and continuously we have excellent programs. I request all of you to join and enjoy. Thank you very much.